Welcome to Telly Talk, where we talk about what is on the telly, and by that we mean what's on our minds, because we're Telly. I'm Tyler.
My name is Ken.
No, I'm Ken.
No, I'm Ken.
No, I'm Ken.
I'm Ken.
Hi, Ken.
Hi, Ken.
Hi, Ken. We're
Hi,
both
Ken.
We are talking. We're doing a double feature. It is Barbenheimer week. And
Barbenheimer Weekend.
we have seen the double features of the new movies that came out at the same time, Barbie and
You got cut off with that one? What are you saying?
it's my German accent.
Yeah. Say it again.
We should talk about the Barbie movie first for no specific
Wait,
reason.
can I talk about my day?
Yes, tell us about your day.
So today I woke up at 9 a.m. and made some food to put in my bag because I saw the double feature today. I saw the Barbie and Oppenheimer back to back. I was in the movie theater for 6 hours today. I literally got home an hour ago from both of them. And let me tell you, walked in the theater was fucking deserted. I was the only person there. Walked into the Barbie theater. There were probably 15 people max in the entire theater throughout the entire movie. Like, I didn't even have to buy tickets. I could have just walked in and walked into a theater.
That's so weird because I went to Barbie earlier than you did. I went like the day after it came out, that Friday. And we bought tickets in advance, like 3 days in advance, and the movie theater was still almost full and we bought tickets and we reserved them 3 days early. And then I tried to get tickets to Oppenheimer last night at like an 8 o'clock showing, and the entire theater was full. Like, I couldn't get a ticket.
I walked into the Oppenheimer theater at like 2 p.m. and there were less people there. I was sat next to two elderly couples, and then there were like a group of three in the front, and then like a two like younger couple.
You're basically a movie critic.
I mean, I was writing on a notepad in the dark. I'll show a picture of my notes, but they're very like scribbled. I'm actually pretty skilled in writing in the dark because my first year in college, I had to write notes in the dark because I would watch movies like 3 times a week in a dark theater.
That's such a random skill to have, but it makes sense.
I
So, Barbie.
Barbie. I expected more from Barbie. Not gonna lie.
It was better than I expected.
I feel like it didn't push far enough, like emotionally. Like tears came to my eyes, but they didn't come out of my eyes. Like it could have gone like a little farther.
That's fair, I suppose. I thought in such like a comedic movie, the fact that it was still emotional enough that everyone I know watched it, teared up watching it, is still pretty impressive. Cause like, yeah, it wasn't like just like a dramatic, sad movie. It was very, very comedic, but the emotion was still deep enough to make people tear up, which a lot of movies don't even do that. So I was so impressed with it. I didn't go in expecting for it to make anyone tear up, and like it made everybody tear up, and that's pretty impressive to me.
I thought the Barbie movie had an entirely different plot, and then when it came out and people started talking about it, like in a general sense, not any spoiler sense, I was like, oh, okay, it's gonna be this type of movie. And then I watched it and I was like, oh, it's like a little less than what I thought it was gonna be.
That's fair. I went in like not knowing the plot at all, but also it was early enough that I didn't see anyone talking about it either because it was like the very next day. So the only thing I knew was the Ken song. I watched the Ken song,
Ken
and
saw.
I've watched like Ryan Gosling's interviews about it, and
I'm
that's all
just
I had going
Ken.
in. And then I knew like the iconic shot of like Barbie stepping out of her heels and her like foot is pointed, which is still a very impressive shot.
Flat feet.
Yeah,
They're flat
and
feet haters.
and that's all I knew. So I didn't have any expectations about like how emotional it would be. Like I just knew the funny bits, and so like because I didn't have any expectations in regards to like the emotional plot, I was good with where it was. And then I thought it would be funny, but I didn't think it would be that funny. But it had me and the people I was there with and like the rest of the theater laughing out loud multiple times. And I can't remember the last time a movie's made me laugh out loud like that.
I don't think anyone laughed out loud in my theater. Maybe they were
Really?
just too far away for me to hear them, but like,
I don't know, it was like a packed theater, and like me and the people I was with and the other people in the theater like burst out laughing multiple times because the humor was so like random. Like the humor was very unexpected. When like a funny line would happen, you like didn't see it coming, and it's just like it's kind of how we do our skits. Like it was almost like, what's the most random thing we could do? I know, take a picture with the banana and snap it in half. And it's like that's what the humor felt like to me. When the humor worked really well because it was like, especially Ken's humor, because it was supposed to be done like completely seriously and like earnestly and dramatically and genuinely, but it's like it was such stupid stuff like the sunglasses bit that it's like it just came off so funny because again, it's like how we do our skits. It's just someone doing the stupidest thing you could think of completely genuinely, and it was perfectly pulled off. When that's a hard thing to pull off in a way that like works, but it worked so well. I was very impressed with the comedic timing and everything. It was beautiful.
I think I laughed more watching Oppenheimer.
That's insane. No.
Personally,
Oh my
I
god.
think that Ken had too much of a brain. Like, I thought he was supposed to be like, himbo, no brain. Like, I'm literally just a hollow shell. There's no light behind my eyes. But he had a brain. Like, he had
Well,
thoughts.
that was a little bit of the point of the movie is people didn't think he really had thoughts, but he did. And that was like where his insecurities came from cuz no one really thought he had a brain. And like he did have his own thoughts and he wasn't just like a hollow shell. He was his own person, and because he wasn't allowed to be his own person, he got really insecure from that. That's why he had to go on a journey to realize he could be his own person.
But he's supposed to be no thoughts. Head empty.
Well, that's the point. Is you think he's supposed to be no thoughts, head empty, and that's what causes his problems, and that's why he has to realize he's supposed to be his own person.
I thought his problems were Barbie don't love me because she's a lesbian.
Well, it was a bit deeper than that. I think it was a really good commentary on like heteronormativity, where it's like, you know when kids are little and they're just like playing in like a sandbox together and the parents are like, "Oh, look, they're dating," when it's like a boy and a girl playing together as kids.
Yeah.
I thought Barbie and Ken was supposed to be like that. Like Barbie got assigned a random boyfriend she didn't ask for, and Ken, because of that, grew up tying all of his worth to Barbie, and that causes a lot of emotional like insecurity that can go to a really dark place, which happens with a lot of like preteen boys on the internet. And because as a society we kind of like raise men and women to tie their worth to like how appealing they are to like the opposite gender, and that's like a bad standard to have. So that's why Ken had to learn that like he shouldn't tie his worth to like whatever he owns or how like women see him. He should like be able to be content and know that he's valuable enough on his own.
I get that. I I loved how accurate Barbie Land was because I owned Barbies and I had a Barbie dream house. I didn't see my Barbie dream house in Barbie Land, but I saw some of my Barbies. I had the discontinued pooping dog. I had that, and that was like my favorite thing that I owned out of all the Barbie stuff. And I was so surprised
That's
to hear
so
that it was
funny.
discontinued because I did not know that. Why was it
I
discontinued? I don't know.
I had a different experience playing with Barbies as a kid than most people did. This was just like a gender thing. First of all, I think I had a Barbie car, but we didn't have like a Barbie house. We had when I was like 5, I had this like 4 foot tall, like hand built, really big, like 4-story dollhouse. So I played with my Barbies like in that dollhouse, not like a Barbie house. So that was kind of different for me. And then the Barbies were all my sisters. I didn't care about dolls growing up. And I know a lot of people talking about the movie were like, this is so accurate. You play with the Barbies, and then Ken is just like randomly there if he's needed for a plot. But you play with the Barbies. The Ken is just like a little accessory. This is
Oh
so
yeah.
accurate to how you play with Barbies. But this was just a me thing, and I know it, but I only played with Ken dolls. Like, I was like, Barbies, ew, gross, I don't like Barbies. But I loved playing with the Ken dolls. We had 2 Ken dolls, and like, my sister had 2 Ken dolls and like 100 Barbies, and I only played with the Ken dolls.
I had a Ken doll, but I don't remember playing with him that much.
Me and my friend, the only time I remember really playing with Barbies, I have 2 memories. One time when I was like a preteen, like when I was like 11, I just like cut off the hair of one of the Barbies and gave her like a really stylish like lesbian haircut. And
Weird
my dad
Barbie.
was really pissed at me because he said they would lose their resale value now because I gave her a short haircut. Um,
No, it's weird Barbie. That
yeah,
gives the value.
I thank you. I made my own weird Barbie as all children should.
Oh yeah.
And me and my friend made a movie when we were like 10 called The Mystery of the Murdered Chelsea, where like the she was the daughter, I think it was like the Stacy little sister doll, and she was murdered, and there was a murder mystery, and oh my god, it was the pooping dog. Okay, I'm getting there. So there's a mystery, and I had a pet rock named Jaco, and they called him up, and he was the detective, and he had a whole theme song where it was like, when your frog gets burnt, or if your dog turns to dirt, call Detective Jaco. Like, he had a whole theme song we wrote for him when he would like appear on screen, and we would like act out what like the frog dying and whatever, and they found like they were high heel prints like at the murder scene, and then they found security camera footage of inside the house, and apparently we invented drag queens on accident in
You
Ken's
invented
free time.
drag queens, even though
Yes,
they
we
were
didn't know
invented
drag.
before you were
No,
born.
we listen. We like reinvented. We didn't know what drag queens were. We were 10. We had no idea those existed. We were sheltered children, but we just invented a plot line where, in secret, in his free time, Ken just like dressed up in drag and like strutted around his house in high heels. And that was like, so everyone thought Ken did it, which I think was really homophobic, because all the Barbies wear high heels, but you immediately think it's Ken when you find out he wears high heels in his free time. And it was like a whole thing where everyone's like, oh, the dad killed his daughter. Look at him. He has high heels in the security camera footage of his house. But then it turned out that the dog framed him. The pooping dog put on the high heels and then killed the girl and then framed the dad.
The
And
dog,
it was cinema.
the dog did it.
That was how I started as a filmmaker. Oh my god, there's so much to talk about with this movie. This movie is like really, really deep if you get into it. Like, there's the commentary on like men and women and feminism and the patriarchy, but then there's like the overarching theme, like not like defying gender. It's just like what it means to be human, like human age and like things like that, and like feeling emotion, like just like beyond gender. The movie really got into like this is what it is to be human, and it's beautiful even if it's like not perfect. And that was like really deep and good. Because I didn't know what the movie was going into it, I was so thrown off when Barbie just like randomly became suicidal. Like, I was watching, it's like, woohoo, Barbie, like, I don't know the plot of this, yeah, Barbie.
But that was
And
in
then
the
all of a sudden it's like,
trailer.
I didn't watch that trailer, I only watched
What?
the Ken video and the interviews.
Wow.
And the first teaser, I didn't watch like the full trailer, I watched the Ken clip with like showed a bunch of scenes, and then I watched the teaser with the heel thing or whatever, but I didn't watch like the normal trailer, and I was just like, I was so thrown off. I was like, Barbie is like randomly out of nowhere. I'm like, she wants to die? I was so confused. And
Do you guys ever think about death?
you think about death? Like, it was so random to me. I was
I
like, what?
mean, I'm dying to dance. Oh, okay, Barbie.
Okay, Barbie. Oh, after the movie, we had like, we were talking about it, and we kind of had like a revelation. So I didn't know what the movie was rated going into it. I assumed it was PG because I was like, this is a movie about a kid's toy starring like adults. It's probably like a kid's movie that's slightly mature. I'm gonna go PG. Like, that was just like my inherent assumption. And the movie wasn't like super vulgar. Like, there were worse PG-13 movies, but it was just like explicit enough with like the bleeped out F word and saying like damn a couple times and talking. There was like a lot of sexual like double entendres and innuendos, and then they were like talking about genitals, a gynecologist and vagina, and that like
Kids won't know what the
he was like
gynecologist is.
no, exactly. It was like it threw me off just enough that I was like, oh, this can't be rated PG, and I looked it up and it was PG-13. And I was really surprised about it, and it was fine for it's fine for a kids movie because everything that was explicit would either go over a kid's head, kind of like when you watch like a Disney movie with there's like a little bit of adult like hidden jokes in it, or it would just like, have kids ask a couple questions like what's a penis, what's a gynecologist, which is just like really basic questions. So it's totally appropriate for kids, but it still threw me off that like I was like, oh, this can't be rated PG. And then I realized like you go into the movie thinking it's a kids movie, and then you realize it's much more targeted towards adults that used to like Barbie. Like you're like, huh, Barbie movie, that's for kids, like the Mario movie, but then it's like, oh, this is for adults who used to play with Barbie. It's about aging and nostalgia, and like how like your experience, your like ideas of what being an adult is like is different than what you think as a kid. And then we realize that it's kind of like the exact plot of the movie, where it's like you think that the person Barbie has to go see is the little girl, but then you realize that it's actually her mom. And like you go into the movie thinking it's for kids, but then you realize that the movie's more targeted towards their parents. And it's like the plot of the movies in that sense is kind of the same as like what it actually happens when you watch the movie. Isn't that cool? Alan's funny to me because a lot of I could rant about this for a while actually. A lot of right-wing men are like, this is a very anti-men movie, which it isn't, but I can get into that. But they're like, this movie hates men. The only good man in is basically a woman. And they're talking about Alan, and I think that's very funny to me because even though Alan is like a dweeb, he also takes on and defeats like 8 Kens single-handedly.
Oh
Like
yeah,
he's
he
badass.
beats
He's
up
very
like
badass.
8 buff
He
construction
on his
Ken.
yeah on his own he like takes on and beats up and defeats like 8
He
Kens. He's
they
the most badass guy in the movie.
Yeah, he like socks him in the face, flips him over, like kicks him, and I'm like, oh my god, Alan. And like
So
the women didn't even react. They were like, oh yeah, go off, Alan. Anyways, we're gonna
yeah,
go
that's
help
Alan.
Barbie, and I'm like, you're not watching Alan beat the shit out of these Kens. I'm
Right?
like
It was so
appalled by this right
crazy.
now. Go, gay
And
little
so many
man.
men are like, wow. No, Alan's the one who got Midge pregnant.
We don't talk
Did
about
you know
Mitch.
that?
We don't talk about her.
I think Alan's bisexual personally.
Oh
Um,
yeah, yeah, for sure.
in general, I think it's really stupid when people are like, this is a men hating movie. People are doing it two ways. People are doing it in like a feminist way. They're like, yeah, this movie was boo men, woohoo, go women. Or they're doing it in like a I hate feminism way. They're like, feminism sucks. This movie hates men, but neither is correct. Like the movie is mostly a girl power movie. It's very much like you can do whatever you want when you're a woman, and like it touched a lot on like a lot of people like think that Barbie sets up beauty standards for women, but really like I don't know a single person who played with Barbie as a kid and was like, oh, this makes me feel bad about my body. That's a society does to girls. It's not like playing with Barbie does that, even though it's like a big misconception that that's what Barbie does. And like it talked a lot about like aging and like what it means to be a woman under the patriarchy. But it also I feel like hit a lot of points on how like men also suffer from the patriarchy. Like men like it showed like the Kens bring the patriarchy. They bring it, but they also like suffered from it. And you can even see that with like how like insecure that Ken was even under like the matriarchy. And it's like they both suffered from it, and then it's like the message to Ken at the end of the movie. I don't know how they're like Ken is was all the Kens were bad. Like that wasn't the point of the movie. I thought the movie was cool because there were no villains in the movie. There were conflicts, but the movie did not have a villain. You think the business guy's gonna be the villain, but he wasn't really doing any much to stop Barbie. He was just a little guy. And like you think like, oh, the Kens are the villain, but they're just like they just have a conflict, and they're like also suffering and have like their own storyline. And it's like at the end of the movie, Barbie apologizes to Ken. Is like the way I treated you wasn't okay. Like I was wrong for treating you that way. And it was like the message to Ken and like men in general at the end of the movie was like, don't put like your self-worth in like things and women, and like you should be yourself and find your own thing and you're enough without external validation, and also lead other men for support. And it was a very positive message for men, in my opinion. It wasn't negative about men. Like the end message to Ken and all the Kens and men in general was like such a positive message. I don't get how people were like, this is negative.
Do you think that Barbie got cut open to like give her a vagina? Or do you think,
No.
because why did she go to the gynecologist if she just doesn't have a vagina?
Oh. Oh. Huh.
Because
Maybe it
like
was like magic. Like whenever
she went to the
magic.
real world and she just magically got a pussy.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna choose to believe that this was all magic for personal reasons.
She just
Yeah,
like went to the
magic.
gynecologist. The gynecologist was like, "Pull your pants down." And she's like, "Okay," and then she just has nothing.
She's
It's
just like,
just skin. It's just she's like,
no.
you don't have any of the holes, none of them, not any three of them. What is? It's just skin. How are you alive? Where do you pee? How do you poop? She's like, I've never had to do that
All
before. It's magic.
and the wait, that's such an accurate Barbie impersonation. Um, all of the genital bits were so funny. Like even when like Weird Barbie was like, I wonder what like nude package that Ken has. And it's like just like, man, I wonder what like nude colored bulb she's packing. And it's like, yeah, that's what Ken is like. And then it's like,
Oh, I don't
we
have
don't have
any.
genitals.
I have, I have, I have, I have genitals down here.
And no, that was really funny to me specifically because in college, me and my friends have a bit where like they don't think I have genitals. They're just kind of like, it's been said by them like, yeah, you're just kind of down there, you know? Like, and then the Barbie movie actually made genital jokes and it was perfect for us.
Where do you think the Kens sleep?
I
On the
hope that
beach?
they have a little like Ken village in like the far corner of town that like no, it's like across the railroad and everyone's like, we don't go tracks, but it's just where the Kens
I
like have like a commune house.
I feel like there's like a giant Ken frat house bungalow on the beach that they all just
Yeah,
sleep
yeah.
on.
I like
It's
that.
the
There's
beach
just like a
bungalow.
yeah, no, it's like all the Kens live together because like Barbies have like their own like
Oh
dream
yeah,
house, but Kens it's like they just all have like a room that they
they
sleep in together.
they sleep in bunk beds because they love
Literally,
each other. It's like a camp cabin, but like Ken's on the beach.
the bromance was really cute. Like I know for a while the Kens were competing against each other. Oh, that was the funniest part in the movie to me. A lot of people said the funniest part was like the gynecologist bit at the end, or like the part where the narrator comes on and is like, Barbie saying she's not pretty would have worked a lot better if they didn't cast Margot Robbie for the role. And those parts were really funny, but my favorite part was when it's like Ken is playing the guitar for Barbie on the beach, and the camera zooms out, and you just see a line of Ken's playing a guitar on the beach for
Oh
Barbie.
yeah.
That cracked me up. That was, oh my god, like I didn't expect it at this time. Oh my god, it was perfectly executed. All the comedy was perfectly executed.
I saw
It
it
was so
coming. I was
funny.
like, they're definitely gonna like cut to like where all the Kens are doing the same thing with all the Barbies.
It was
And then
so
they did
funny.
it, and I was like,
And
yeah,
then
I knew it.
making fun of all of the masculinity things when they're like, yeah, have them teach you what the Godfather is. Like all of the masculinity bits were so funny.
Oh yeah, I've
It was
used
so
all
funny.
of those rules, all of them, in my real life, and they've all worked. They're so accurate.
And I was talking to my friend after the movie, and she was like, yeah, in college I've gone on a couple dates with guys, and they really do just pull out their guitar and start playing for you.
No, they don't play for you. They play at you.
And then I was thinking about how in college I pulled out my guitar and started playing, and I was, God damn it.
Yep. Yep.
I'm no better than the other men.
Barbie, you want to come in and I can play my guitar at you? Sure
All
can.
of the men bits were so funny.
I love that if Barbie just gave Ken a little bit more love, the entire movie wouldn't happen. And
Right?
like the whole patriarchy Ken bit wouldn't happen.
Yeah, he just felt
Ken
neglected, like he was a low commitment long-term boyfriend or whatever.
Ken
Casual
just
boyfriend.
wanted some love. I loved how Barbie would just diss him anytime Ken would try to like be physical with her. Like
Right?
after they like got out of the party and Ken like was just trying to like low key kiss her and she was just standing there smiling and I was like,
I wish,
damn, I
like,
fucking feel that.
I know, like, in their universe, they, like, have to be boyfriend girlfriend or whatever. Oh, that bit was funny. You know, like when kids like play with toys and they know that like people in a relationship do stuff, but they don't really know what stuff, and they were just like, "Yeah, we're boyfriend girlfriend. I could sleep over to do what? I don't know." That was so accurate to kids playing.
Oh yeah, that was in the
That was so
trailer.
funny. That I know it was, but it was so funny. Um, but yeah,
I,
like in their universe, they have to be boyfriend girlfriend. But like, I wish they didn't, and that Barbie could have just like broken up with him instead of like him having to like keep feeling neglected in his relationship.
Barbie, I loved in the end when Ken was like saying I'm sorry and Ken was like at the top of the house with Barbie, and Barbie's like, "You can do like whatever you want now. You can like be who you want to be." And he's like, "With you?" And she's like, "Sure,
No,
Ken."
he was
And
still
then
he was still trying to be her
and
boyfriend.
then he like grabbed her and like tried to like kiss her, and she's like, "Nope, not this way, not this way." And he's like, "Oh, sorry," and then like put her back up, and was like,
I loved the ending where it was like the Kens get more rights because it wasn't fair, but not all the rights because you're supposed to watch that because that's Barbie Land isn't real, and you're supposed to watch that, and you're supposed to go, wait a minute, that's still not completely fair. The Kens still aren't completely equal. Like they're less second-class citizens than before, but they still don't have all of the equal rights. And you're supposed to go, that makes me feel upset emotions. This isn't fair. And then you're supposed to go, oh, Barbie Land isn't real, but that is how the real world is to women. I get it now.
"Yep,
And I feel like a lot of people like missed that. Like a
oh
lot of people
yeah."
watch that and they would just go, "Damn, that wasn't fair. What a dumb man-hating movie." Or like, "Oh, yeah, that wasn't fair. Woohoo, I hate men." But you're supposed to watch that and go, "Yeah, that is unfair. But this isn't real." But in the real world, women are treated that way. That's messed up. You're supposed to connect the dots. And the movie kind of made it clear to you, but I guess a lot of people still didn't connect the dots.
I didn't really see the man hating in this movie. It just kind of made men slightly less smart.
The men were just stupid and like fell victim to believing in the patriarchy, and they did some sexist things while being like patriarchy bros, but they weren't like evil. They are like, and you weren't supposed to hate them. You were just supposed to go like, wow, they fell victim to this ideology. That sucks.
I just thought they were dumb. Like I
They were
didn't
dumb. They were
hate
very
them at
dumb.
all. I was just like, oh, they're fucking dumb.
Yeah, no, they were
Anyways,
supposed to be himbos. Someone said that they were all kind of like dogs, and Ken was like the leader golden retriever. And
oh
yeah,
yeah, that's yeah. Mhm.
back to talking about the set, I thought the set was done so well. Like with how it like all the little touches with how it was very accurate to kids playing with toys. But I just read about how they like actually figured out the exact like size comparison between Barbie and her objects and found out that like Barbie's like 23% bigger than the objects she interacts with. So they made all of like the set pieces and the cars and the housing stuff like 23% smaller than a human normal size was. And that's what made it feel like they were actually in a toy set. Like that's really cool. That's such a
I
good detail.
thought in the when I watched the movie, all the items were like bigger than her. Like her brush was bigger than her head, and like her cup was also like bigger.
I don't know. I don't. Yeah, you're right. I don't know.
But
Maybe they
like
made small objects bigger to be like size
definitely,
proportionate, but bigger. Like the
but no,
car
but
was
like
like 23% smaller than a normal car or something.
yeah, like the car in real life, like your Barbie would like never fit in a car. You'd have to like stick her legs up on top of the windshield, or like break her knees and shove her in there. But like her brush was like bigger than her head, but that's accurate to like the real life brush, because it would be big enough for you to hold and actually brush her hair with it. So I
Yeah,
don't.
no, the set design was just incredible.
Oh yeah,
What I really liked about the Barbie movie was how a lot of it, both the comedy and just the plot in general, was like really like self-aware. Like a lot of it was like satire or like ironic on purpose to be funny. or like really like it was just the whole movie was kind of meta, and I really enjoyed that. It added to the comedy a lot, you know?
Do you think they can hear the narrator? Because I think
Oh,
at
I
one point,
wonder.
because at one point they, I think, didn't they respond to the narrator at some point in the movie? I feel
They
like
just
they
hear her the
did
whole time.
because I had a thought that was like, oh, they could hear her the whole time. Like, I could be making this up, but I thought I had a thought that was like, oh, they could hear her the whole time. Like, who is it? Is it another Barbie? Is it like God Barbie? Is it like, who is the narrator?
No, the narrator was cool, and I want to know more about who the narrator is, and if like I want to know the narrator lore.
I like when the secretary guy, um, the Mattel worker. I like that his line, "I'm a man with no power, so that does that mean I'm a woman?"
One.
That was a great line. Do you think that Barbie's a lesbian? Stereotypical Barbie.
I I think stereotypical Barbie is Arrow Ace, to be honest. She loves women, but I feel like she loves women just like the way she loves everyone. And I just think that she just isn't interested in romance or anything. You know?
That's fair. I get that.
I could see why you'd think she's a lesbian. Like that's also you can interpret her as anything you want. To be honest, all of them are valid. Um,
She's definitely
she
not
could just be
straight.
straight. She could be straight and just focusing on herself right now. You know how many like girls are straight, but they're just like, yeah, I just don't want a relationship.
But she was like
Just
actively
around school.
repulsed by Ken.
Maybe it was just that Ken.
She likes the
We've only,
Asian Ken more,
yeah, maybe like I don't know. We only seen her like interact with a couple
which
guys.
was like the whole
Um,
reason why Ken was mad.
yeah, that was a funny bit, but I, I, I personally think she's Airways, but anything is a valid interpretation. However you relate to it, understand it, that's so cool.
I feel like she's asexual, but likes
No
women.
genitals. That's
But I
fair.
mean,
I
Barbies
can see
can
that.
still scissor.
I mean, that's what playing with Barbie is, right?
That's
Like,
the
it,
whole
it
childhood
goes to
of being Barbies.
another another part. I like when Barbie is like depressed and she's like sitting and then she like flops over on her side, but she does it in like a way where her arms and legs are still like straight and she flops over without losing the positioning of her body, so it looks like she's like just like a Barbie falling over
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
instead of a human falling over. All the little details that made it very Barbie-like were just incredibly well done. I I think this is the best they could have made a Barbie movie because it could have been like a really like cheap movie. Like it still is a cash grab movie, but like they also made it really deep and really funny and had a lot of detail that I was very impressed with.
Oh yeah. Did you know they're making like the toy company's making 30 more movies about
No, I saw that and
their
that
other
annoyed me.
toys?
That annoys me because this is like the reason it worked is because it was genuine, I guess. And like if you keep trying to repeat it, it stops having the same effect. Like everyone was excited for the Barbie because first time in a long time that there was just like a fun movie that wasn't like a superhero movie, cool, and it was like a big thing coming out, and it was just like refreshing. Barbie was refreshing as a
Oh
movie
yeah.
being released, in my opinion,
Oh yeah.
and trying to just repeat that with all your other toys takes away that inherent value it had. Final thoughts on Barbie. I guess we could do this at the end of the Oppenheimer time too, but it was just really well done, and I was impressed with it, and it was funnier than I ever expected. One of the funniest movies I've ever seen. It made me feel happy while watching it. Like, just the fact that I was laughing while watching the movie made me happy, while also being deep enough that it's like, man, people teared up watching it. I heard it was like the highest grossing movie of a female director ever, which is cool.
She's
Um,
also an indie filmmaker.
woohoo, girl power. I think she's impressive.
My final thoughts on the Barbie movie. I personally I didn't laugh that much, and it was good, but I didn't think that it was. I feel like it could have been more emotional, more sad. Like if she would have pushed it a little farther with the emotions, I think I would have shed that tear, and I would have cried. But it didn't push me there, and I didn't really laugh that much. Which I don't know if that was just like a me thing, or what. Um, like I did get the jokes, and I did find it a little bit funny, but I don't know. I preferred Oppenheimer, which definitely fits my mood, and we'll get into Oppenheimer right now.
Very early into the movie, I was like, "Oh, I get why you prefer this to Barbie." It's a very like artistically done movie.
Yes.
Like the style of it is creative. It reminds me of the setup of the TV show Cruel Summer with like how it told different parts of the story in like different time periods. The intro felt long. There was like a while before I was like, "Okay, we're actually into the plot of the movie now." Um, but it was like just very like artistic and like history movie, and I was like, I see why you like this. This is your type of movie, and I quite liked it. I thought it was a very good movie, and I liked it even more than I thought I would. I thought I would like it, but I was like, wow, that was a really good movie.
I loved it for many
Like,
reasons.
I really liked the end where it was sunny and raining at the same time because of how like conflicted his emotions are.
It was sunny and raining. How did it end? With Albert Einstein? Oh, it was sun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was sunny out, but it was also raining, and I felt like that was a really good representation of how conflicted he felt.
Oh yeah. Did you like the Truman part where he was like, "Well, get this crying bitch out of my office"?
That was so funny. People like laughed at
I
him.
was like, "Oh my god, what the fuck?" But like that was like inaccurate because Truman actually did feel guilty about dropping the bombs as well.
I thought
So
so.
like I don't know
I
why
thought
they
so.
did that.
I remember learning about this in my history class, and I was yeah, that's what I thought.
So I
Um,
don't. But it was really funny.
it was really funny. I for the okay, so like halfway through the movie when they like let off the like the trial one and it works and everyone's really excited about that. That felt like a climax of the movie, and I was like, that was a good movie. And then I looked at my time and I was like, it's
We're
only been an hour and
yeah.
45
Oh
minutes.
yeah.
This
Oh
is three
yeah.
hours. There's more. And then they just told like an entirely like they told a whole second story with the whole like hearing thing. But
Yeah, I
it
was like
was really
so
good.
good. Like in the beginning when they were doing like the black and white footage of like Robert Downey Jr.'s character, I was like, what is his point? What is the point
I
of
was really
this
confused.
with half of
I
this?
was
Well, I don't get it.
Oh, it was so fun to watch Robert Downey Jr. in this. I love Robert Downey Jr. and it was really fun to watch him play like such a professional role.
Oh yeah, I loved it.
Cuz like
I
he's a perfect Iron Man. I love him as Iron Man very much. He's a great Iron Man. But like watching him in this role that's so different from Iron Man was very fun to like see his
he
acting skills like that.
he was the villain. He was
That was
the
that was like a funky twist. Like I love the way they unfolded
oh
that for you.
yeah.
That
They're
was like wow.
they're like, oh, let's just pan the camera a little to the left. Oh my god, he was there and he did the whole entire thing.
That
Oh
was
my
like,
god. And
dude, that blew my mind.
I was like, I kind of saw it coming. I predicted it right
I wasn't
before it
following it enough
happened.
to see it coming. I was not following the plot enough to see it coming. There were, okay, I followed it fine, but not enough to like make theories. I didn't follow it closely enough to be able to predict things.
I the thing that like surprised me a little bit, like I saw it coming, but I was like, oh my god, they actually did it. Was like when Rami Malek showed up, and I was like, oh shit, they
Is that, I
fucking
thought that
pulled
was,
that
I
out of
thought
their
that's who that
back
was.
pocket. I was like, I fucking knew
All,
that he was gonna be useful. They were doing close-ups on him for no reason. No, he has to have a bigger role than
yeah,
just being silent.
they kept showing random characters. That was the only one of my only complaints from the movie is this is mostly me problem. My dad said he had the problem too, but it's worse for me because I'm really bad with faces when watching a movie. Is there were like too many characters for me to keep track like who looked like what their face was, what their name was, and what their role was, like what they did in the movie. Because randomly later in the movie they'd mention a guy by name, and I know we've met that guy at some point in the movie, but I cannot remember who he is. Just by you saying the name, there were a little bit too many characters, and my dad also had that problem when watching.
Yeah, I didn't know anybody's name. I just knew their face. Because I literally, the entire cast, they're all well-known actors. Like they're all like
I
at
know it was
least
so
C-list actors.
that was I was especially surprised that like you know how we talked about how like a bunch more people saw this movie than would have normally because of it came out at the same time as Barbie.
Yeah.
I was surprised this movie like so packed full of very well-known actors with a well-known director like wasn't gonna be like that big of a deal.
Yeah, like I was shocked to know that Josh Peck was in the movie. Like when someone said that, I was like, "What? No." Is he
Did
like
I
just
tell my
some
Josh
random
Peck
background?
story on here?
No.
Okay, so I have like neck pain. So sometimes I go to this massage lady at my local chiropractor and I was getting a massage last week and I was talking about how I saw the Barbie movie and how much I liked it. And she was like, yeah, I'm gonna go with my girlfriend soon, blah, blah, blah. And then I mentioned Oppenheimer and she was like, oh, yeah, me and my husband are gonna go see that soon because we want to support his cousin. And I'm like, what do you mean support his cousin? And she's like, you know, his cousin's Josh Peck. I was like, what? You're you just know Josh Peck really casually.
You
You're
just
going to
know
see
Josh Peck.
you work as a chiropractor in redacted. And she's just like, yeah, he's a good kid. He's worked really hard for this, and we want to go support him. And I was like, you're going to see one of like the biggest movies of the year because you want to support your husband's cousin. And then she's talking to me about how like they go to like his mom's house for family events sometimes, but he's like almost never there because he's always like filming or stuff. My massage lady is just like, yeah, we're so proud of him. He's worked really hard for this role, and he's such a good kid. He has kids now. Do you know he has a wife and kids now? They're so sweet. And I'm just like,
I
you
thought
just know Josh.
he had. Does he have more than one kid?
Oh, I don't know. Let me look it
I
up.
know he has one kid. Roderick
He has
from.
two boys.
Yeah, that makes sense. Roderick from Diary of a Wimpy Kid, the original Diary of a Wimpy Kid movies, was also in Oppenheimer
Yeah,
meetings.
there were so many actors in there that I like kind of recognized, but like the makeup was too good that I like couldn't pinpoint who they were specifically.
There was like if you look up that guy's discography or like filmography, I guess, um, the only movies he's been in are The Diary of Wimpy Kids and then just Oppenheimer. So
How did he do that?
I don't know what the 10-year gap was, but he was doing literally
Oh,
nothing.
he was in that Netflix TV show The 100 and that had a bunch of seasons.
Oh, maybe yeah.
One of my good friends from high school, her mom went to high school and was kind of friends with Robert Downey Jr.'s wife, like current wife.
Wow.
And they invited her to the graduation party because then to be like, man, wouldn't it be cool if Robert Downey Jr. just showed up to my graduation party and redacted? But then they found out that that's when he was filming Oppenheimer. But it's just my friend's mom just casually knows Robert Downey Jr.'s current wife. But I'm just like, man, I'm like 3 degrees of separation from Josh Peck and Robert Downey Jr. right now. I'm living the life. Just
Me too.
imagine like one of your like casual friends from high school like grew up and married Tom Holland. Like just like what do you do with that? That's so interesting. And like just imagine like Robert Downey Jr. casually knows my friend exists. Like imagine like you're like a famous actor and your like wife comes up to you and it's just like, "Hey, my friend from high school just sent me an invitation to her daughter's graduation party, but I can't make it. That sucks." And it's just like, "Damn. Robert Downey Jr. knows you exist now."
Well, I feel like she could have gone because she wasn't in the movie.
Oh yeah, she could have gone. I don't know why she couldn't go, but she didn't end up coming. The movie was good. I stayed for the sex scenes. They were not that long or bad. They had sex for like 20 seconds each time. It
Yeah.
was not that bad. I didn't feel like they like needed to be included. I guess they wanted to show that he was a womanizer, but like I don't know. They just like not a lot happened with them. Like he knocked up another dude's wife and then they just very casually revealed that he was having an affair with this other woman the entire time but her husband never found out and then he just died and then he was also like cheated on his wife with that one lady and like why was he why
He was like, "Oh yeah, so my wife cheated on her husband and I got her pregnant, so when he died, I married her, but I was constantly having this affair with this communist.
No, but then there
Before,
was the
during,
other
and
lady.
after I met her, so. Oh yeah, Oppenheimer. When I first heard about this movie back when it was like first advertised, I thought it looked cool, and then I realized it was about the atomic bombs, and I was super interested in it. My autistic ass in middle school became hyperfixated on atomic bombs, and I wrote a
Yeah,
paper
like
on
of
atomic
course
bombs.
you preferred this movie. It was more like historically artistic and artsy, and it was about bombs.
Oh yeah, I like loved atomic bombs, and I taught myself how atomic bombs worked and how they were built in middle school. And me and my friend would go to the town library, and we would write the formulas and diagrams on the study room whiteboards, and then just leave them there
Yeah.
and leave. And I remember one
I
time we were in the study room, and this guy kept pacing in front of only our room on the phone, and he
he
was like
he
looking
thought
very concerned.
he thought you guys were like communists.
We were. What do you mean? We were building the atomic bomb. How are we communists if we were building the atomic bomb? We were drawing diagrams of it.
What would you think if you just saw two teenagers in a library drawing bombs on the board?
I think, oh my god, I did that when I was 11.
I would be very freaked out.
I'd be
Like,
like,
what is
yo.
wrong with these children? This movie made me feel very anxious in multiple parts, and the anxiety shifted. Like that was like a sad anxious, and when they were about to test the bomb, I felt like like when you get on a roller coaster and you strap in, and then the ride starts, but like it starts off really really slow. That's how
Yeah.
I felt before they tested the bomb, and I honestly think it's a really cool thing that they were able to invoke such emotions in me in a film. It it made me so anxious, and that's why I preferred the Barbie movie because the Barbie movie made me feel very happy while watching it in a way I haven't experienced many times while watching a film. Like it literally just like I felt filled with joy watching the Barbie movie. Like I was just like happy. I was just like laughing and like very carefree. And then this like I was like it was very intriguing. It was what did I text you about it? I said that it was like a very intriguing and unique story told in a very intriguing and unique way, and it was, but I was so like anxious throughout half of the movie
Oh
that it's
yeah.
like not something I would watch again soon when I would watch the Barbie movie for fun, like anytime. But like this was like it was great, but it was like also it's like I would wait a couple years before watching it again because it was like 3 hours and anxiety inducing.
I could definitely see all my professors recommending this movie next month. They'll be like, "Oh, did you guys see Oppenheimer? It was like cinematically beautiful." Blah blah blah.
The way that they told the story was so impressive. Like just from like if like I feel like a storytelling professor
Oh
should
yeah,
recommend this.
like Christopher Nolan wrote the script in first person, where all scripts are usually written in third person. So it was like, oh, like when the other people were reading the scripts, instead of like, oh, Oppenheimer walked to this side of the room, it was like, I walked to this side of the room and said this thing, and I watched the officer say this
That's
thing
so,
to this person.
that's like my exact point. That's so unique and intriguing. The whole movie was unique and intriguing in so many ways. I have a confession.
Oh no.
Not only did I not watch the entire full Barbie trailer before seeing Barbie, but I didn't watch anything for Oppenheimer going into it. I had no idea what it was about other than I knew it was about the guy who made the bomb. That's like all I knew going into it. And I knew there was a bunch of like famous actors in it, but I didn't know what the plot was
Oh, me
at all.
too.
And I didn't watch anything. And then I go in and then he's trying to murder his professor and I'm like, "What the fuck is happening?" It took him a whole day to be like, oh, I actually don't want him to die. What if he already ate it? What if he already ate the apple? Oh, 24 hours later. Maybe I shouldn't have poisoned my professor.
I mean, he was psychotic a little bit.
He, he was he was crazy and I loved him. His cheekbones were very sunken in the whole movie, and then at some point I noticed that his eyes were really blue, and it reminded me of that like meme where if someone has like really strikingly blue eyes, it's like, oh my god, please get them contacts, I'm begging.
That's how Oppenheimer actually looked in like Sicilian. Sicilian? Did I say Sicilian? It's like Killian Murphy.
You know, Cecil Murphy.
Cecil Murphy.
You know, Cecile. I
Cecile.
love Cecile.
Killian, I think that's how you say his name. Killian Murphy. He like lost a bunch of weight to have that like sunken in face. So
Is
he
that how
looked
the
like
real guy looked?
Oppenheimer.
Is that why?
Yeah.
I didn't want to like make fun of it because I didn't know if he just looked like that, and I don't want to make fun of the actor. But if he purposely had a sunken in face, it was so uncomfortable the entire movie. It was so unnerving.
Oh yeah. You could like see his skull.
I know. I did not like. I did not like it. But if the actor just looked like that, I wasn't gonna make fun of it. But knowing it was like a look on purpose for the role, now I will make fun of it.
I mean, he does look like that a little bit.
Not so sunken in.
Yeah. At the beginning of the film, when it would like switch between black and white and color, I was so confused to why the trial was in black and white. And I still kind of am, but I feel like the only reason why they did it between black and white and color is to show like the future and the past. But I'm confused to why the future was in black and white when usually the future would be in color and the past would be in black and
I'm
white. But I
I'm
also
going
feel
to
like,
guess that it's because most of the movie took place in the past, and they didn't want the majority of the movie to be in
yeah,
black and
like the
white.
main focus was the bomb building,
Even
so they kept that
Cruel
in
Summer.
color. I,
Do you want to talk about the practical effects, or what were
yes,
you
I
gonna
was
say?
about to do that.
No, I knew it.
I
You're
was,
so in sync.
I, in my notes, I wrote, Nolan loves his explosions. He loves time and explosions. Lots of explosions. Explosions. Psychotic explosions. That's what's in my notes. There are no special effects in this movie. Like, everything is practical from the basic explosions to, like, the sparkly, glittery, like, neutron montages that
What
were, like, in
what
between the
what
middle.
was like the beginning when he was like in his like apartment, like hallucinating colors?
That was real. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. The glitter and
Oh my
stuff.
god.
They,
Yeah,
like,
that was trippy. I was like, what is this movie?
yeah, that was all practical. They like set up like a little box and they like threw around different chemicals and glitter and stuff and they made that in real time.
Oh, I was gonna say that this movie, like the type of story that they told, could have gotten boring very easily. Like it was like it's a history movie, there's a trial, they're doing a lot of math. Like this is like a subject matter that could very, very easily feel boring, and it was 3 hours long, but it managed to stay like interesting and compelling
Oh
pretty much
yeah.
the entire time,
I
which was
thought I
very
was gonna
hard to
get
accomplish.
bored.
I expected to get bored with it, and I didn't really. There were a couple times I was like maybe two times for like a small amount of time I was a little bored, but like I was pretty much interested the entire movie, and I did not expect that going in, and I'm very impressed with the storytelling to keep me interested for like in such a subject matter that could be boring, keeping me interested for so long.
I think it was because they cut quickly in between like the three different like
Yeah.
scenarios between like the private conference room, the trial, and then the actual like bomb building, and they
Yeah.
like did like quick scenes and like cut in between each of them, so instead of doing like super long sections of them, so
Yeah.
I think that kept it
Even
really
like
interesting.
when they were like building the bomb, like for a while, like they stayed in that area for a while, and even then it stayed interesting. And like yeah, the quick cuts like made it really compelling, and like you really wanted to like keep sticking with the plot to know what was going on. And
The bomb
very
building was
impressed with the
interesting.
storytelling.
The bomb building was interesting because they were building a bomb and everyone knew there was going to be an explosion and everyone was waiting for when that explosion was happening, so there was so much anticipation waiting for the explosion.
That though the anticipation they made me feel as a viewer was like I'm very impressed that they like managed to make me feel that way about a bomb exploding when like I knew the bomb was gonna explode, I knew it was gonna happen, and I still felt such anticipation, like with like the background music and like this like the acting. This it was so well done.
I want to talk about the bomb explosion itself. When they were
Perfect.
like setting up the bomb to like they're about to like detonate it, when like Josh Peck was like turning on all his keys,
Yeah, Josh Beck.
how nervous Josh Peck was. That was how nervous I was. Like watching this bomb about to like drop and explode. I was like, oh my god, I'm like literally sweating right now. I'm so
It felt like I
excited.
was about to get bombed. I felt like I was about to get
I
bombed,
was like, oh my
like
god.
I like thought for a second. I was like, what if this movie theater is a trap and they're gonna bomb us right now?
I literally thought that too. I was like, oh my god. And like the movie theater's gonna fucking explode. When the bomb dropped, it was completely silent for about 30 seconds, and all you could
I
hear,
jumped when the sound came.
it was like 30 seconds of silence, and all you could hear was like people's breathing. And that was beautiful. The it was it was so beautiful. I went online and I read that so many people clearly don't know that sound travels slower than light, so they were expecting the bomb sound, the explosion.
No, I loved how like they utilized that scientific fact. Like even in the little explosions, the sound would come like a second later.
Oh yeah, they did that with like their little small test bombs as well. There was a bit pause.
I
There was like a
loved it.
pause between the actual explosion, and I wasn't expecting the silence to be that long. I was expecting like maybe 15 seconds, but it went on for like a good 45 seconds of silence. And then when the explosion came, I knew it was coming, but it scared the fucking shit out of me. And
I
my
like
ears
jumped
were
in my seat.
literally ringing. I was like, oh my god. And I think they blew out a speaker. I swear to god, it was so fucking loud.
I saw someone who was excited for a different movie, like talk about the climax of their movie, and they were like, this must have been like for the people seeing Oppenheimer, what it was like when the bomb exploded." And then someone else was like, "What did you think that movie was about? Like, what do you think Oppenheimer's about?" That you're just like, "Yeah, this exciting part must be for you guys what it was like when they dropped the bombs." It was really funny. And then a different part, the part where like Oppenheimer was reading Einstein. I loved Einstein in the movie. I wasn't expecting him. I knew he was there because I saw this post like the day before the movie. But other than that, like I wasn't expecting Albert Einstein to be in the movie, and he was just such a little guy.
I like
And
that the entire like trial only happened because Robert Downey Jr.'s character thought that Oppenheimer
now I
said
want to
something
know
bad to Albert Einstein.
Einstein to make him blow him off. But
And
now I
that
want to
was
know
the
why
entire
Einstein
back
actually
half.
blew him off. Like, why did Einstein just blow him off? Because from Robert Downey Jr.'s perspective, it was like, me and Einstein are good. Oh no, he's talking to Oppenheimer. Oh no, now Einstein hates me. So like, why did Einstein just have a little switch up?
I think it's because that Robert Downey Jr. was making it bad. I don't know. I don't really remember, but I feel like Robert Downey Jr. was like influencing Oppenheimer to make the bomb or continue with making the bomb
Yeah.
because
I love how sorry, you go.
he was also like for making the hydrogen bomb, which is like why
Yeah.
Oppenheimer was like, I don't want to build a hydrogen bomb, and Robert Downey Jr. was like, you have to build a hydrogen bomb. So I think that's also another thing why, because he knew he would push it
I
farther.
think, yeah. I I I have like two things to say. First, I love how we're calling the characters by their actor names except for
I
Oppenheimer, where it's like, yeah, Josh Peck and Robert
I
Downey
don't know
Jr.
their
and
names.
Florence Pugh and Oppenheimer, you know.
Florence Pugh's character name was like Jean, and that's all I remember. Oppenheimer and Jean.
The wife was named Kitty? Question mark.
Kitty, yeah, yeah, yeah. Her name is Kitty.
But yeah, you know, while we're talking about Albert Einstein by the water, I saw a different post, the post I was talking about, that was like, this must have been like at the like it looked like the scene at the end of Endgame where like Captain America's like really old or whatever and like comes
Oh
back
my
and
god,
talking to everyone
yeah.
like there's like a meetup and then it was
Yeah.
like it almost felt like a crossover. It's like and they were like, man, this must have been like a Marvel type crossover for physics nerds because it's
Literally.
just Oppenheimer talking to Albert Einstein.
I mean, they did work together in real life, so I don't. I mean, yeah. I have a question. So, Oppenheimer was Jewish, and
Yes.
they said this a lot in the movie. Um, and Oppenheimer went to Germany to go to college. for a little bit during
Yeah,
World War II. How did he
it
do
was
that
a
and survive?
it, it was a while before World War II. He went to college like before that because he was already in America in 1939.
Oh, so like during when they were actively building the bomb, um, the German scientist who Oppenheimer met while he was in Germany, he was working with Hitler to make like their atomic bomb.
Yeah,
And so while they were making that, like the Americans were discussing like, are they gonna win the bomb race? And I think like one of like the leaders of the Americans were like, yeah, they went with water instead of this chemical because this
yeah,
chemical is
that was a wrong turn.
associated this chemical is associated with like because they thought quantum mechanics were like a Jewish study, so they didn't do it because they hate Jews and they're being anti-Semitic. And so they literally America won the bomb race because Germany was so anti-Semitic
There was,
because quantum
I know
mechanics is
it
Jewish.
in a war caused in part by their anti-Semitism, and then they continued to lose it because they were still anti-Semitic.
They were like, yes, this random science topic is specifically and only for Jewish people, so we hate it, even though it is very helpful to our situation.
They did that for a lot of things. Like they were really, really against like jazz music in Germany because they thought it was because it was a big like black people thing, and they didn't like black people. So like they hated jazz music.
They built an entire fake town to build this bomb, which I actually didn't know. I thought they just like took over like a ghost town or something to build the bomb. And I
Me
like
too.
that after they finished building the bomb, um, Truman was like, what do you want to do with the land, the town?" And Oppenheimer was like, "Give it back to the natives."
So
And
an
I was
old
like,
man in my theater laughed when he said that. An old man laughed out loud when he
"What?"
said that. And I was like, "What's funny about that?" That it
I
felt
was
so
like, "That
real.
is such a good thing of Oppenheimer."
I
And then
know, that's
Truman
what
was
I
like,
thought.
"Ew." Truman and like his little like Secret Service man was like, "Ew." I wrote that Oppenheimer hates himself and he hates hurting people because he throughout the movie he like showed like regret for hurting people. Like Florence Pugh's character, Jean, and then also like his baby, like when his wife was like being a drunk, he like gave his baby to their friends and was like, "Can you watch him for like a while because we have a
Hmm.
situation?" Um, and then he like felt bad about killing all the Japanese people. So he
I
really
liked
hates
how they
hurting
showed his
people.
guilt. I loved when he stepped into like the charred body. That was the entire scene where everyone was like clapping for him and he was, oh my god, that was so
Oh
well done
yeah,
to show
the
his
gym
guilt.
scene also scared the shit out of me with the loud noise, like the
Oh
stomping.
my god. That scared me the first time they cut to it because we didn't know what it was yet and it was so loud I jumped.
Oh
And then after
yeah.
that it was fine. But when they were walking, the fact that they showed it in cutscenes a couple times and then actually showed him walking past the people in the bleachers into the room, it reminded me a lot of The Greatest Showman. How like at the beginning of the movie, it's like the people like stomping in the bleachers and you don't really know what it is yet. Well, you know what it is because it's a fucking circus, but like you don't know the context of it yet. And then at the end, they like actually have that scene and it's like the bleachers. I don't know. The shot of it reminded me a lot of The Greatest Showman.
I love that when he like would like feel guilty, it would like bleed into the gym scene where like he would get flashbacks, and like during the gym scene when it would just cut to silence, and then like
Yeah.
the applause would come in, and then it would cut to silence, and he would like say something. He'd be like, "And Germany deserves the bomb too," and then it would just be like really loud, like cheering, and then it would cut to silence, and that shit was so loud, and I feel like movie theaters just need to turn down all the
Movie
volume for like at
movie
least
theaters need to be turned
30%.
down.
It like movie theaters and concerts are just too loud for no reason. They need to turn it down. a lot. And when he was in that private like conference room, when the light would come in and it would be like super blinding to him when the opposing lawyer was uh like asking him aggressive questions, and he was just like, I don't know, and it was like a blinding light was covering the room. That was also really cool.
That scene was like that felt like the climax. Sorry, I was trying to remember the scene. Yeah, no, that scene like the way they amped it up in the screaming and the lights. Oh, and like it seemed like he was burning with like the little smoke rising off him.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
that scene was one of my favorite scenes in the movie. That was beautiful.
They used like the radiation sound. You know how like those like radiation detectors they make that like crackly sound?
Yes.
They use that in like the music, like the soundtrack. It adds like part of the music, and I fucking love that. That was amazing.
That's really cool, actually.
Why do they call it the Trinity test?
I don't
Trinity.
know.
They
They
said
dropped it
it.
like it was like they said it in a way. They oh my god, I have another thing to talk about. But they said the Trinity test in a way like they like paused before it, and it was kind of like you as the audience are gonna know the thing I'm about to say, and then they
No,
were like
they said the
Trinity. And
context for it, and I remember being like, "Oh yeah, Trinity, that's a great name." I know, yeah, yeah.
no, I
I
did not get it. They said it like we would get it, and I just did not get it.
they definitely said the context for it, or
If they did, I mixed it. I missed it.
it was in there somewhere. But I remember being like, "Oh yeah, yeah, that's a good name." I
Because
yeah, Trinity.
the next time I felt like that was when they name dropped JFK at the end. They did it. It felt like in a Marvel movie when they like introduce a new character that's from the comics, and they like pause before they say it, and they're
They're
like,
like,
"You're
"Ah
gonna know this guy
yes,
from the comics," and it's just like,
Daredevil."
"Ready for it? Ready for it? JFK."
Oh my
You
God,
we don't know this guy.
JFK.
Oh, and then you're supposed to. You were like, "Oh my God, JFK! He's being introduced to the Oppenheimer cinematic universe. Oh my God,
Oppenheimer
JFK!"
2. Oppenheimer 2. JFK is gonna be a big character in it.
I would love if they made a movie in this style about JFK actually, because I love JFK.
Oh, me too. That gay
Dude,
little submissive
big
boy.
my favorite bisexual twink.
Oh yeah, my favorite bisexual twink president, JFK. I'm excited for Oppenheimer too.
Oppenheimer 2, JFK.
JFK, JFK dropped the bomb. When they were like preparing to drop the bomb and it was storming, I thought they were gonna drop the bomb during the storm. And I was very confused. I was like, they're gonna drop the bomb during the storm? That's like a horrible fucking idea.
I was so
Um,
confused about the storm.
I was like concerned. I was like, did that actually happen? I don't remember like ever reading about that. And then Oppenheimer was like, no, I'm actually a meteorologist, and I know that the storm is going to blow over at exactly 5:02 in the morning. So everyone set their alarms, and we're going to drop the bomb at 5:03. So everyone get ready.
I love that he was like, I want to combine New Mexico and physics, and then he just did that. Oh, was this the town you were saying that Alien was in?
Yes, yes, yes. Oh my God. To
Please
compare
talk
this
about that.
movie to relate this movie to recent news, the government has, the U.S. government has confirmed to the public that aliens do exist, UFOs do exist, and we have been in contact with multiple aliens over the many years, um, and specifically in Roswell, New Mexico, when they found that first alien in like the 1950s. Or I guess more of a group of them, if from what I remember reading and watching. They Los Alamos was the town that Oppenheimer built to build the bomb in New Mexico. Los Alamos, New Mexico. Um, Apparently, in like the late 40s and the early 50s, an alien got moved into Los Alamos and lived there until it died. So Oppenheimer could have met an alien in his life because he lived in Los Alamos. And so I just think that's really interesting that Oppenheimer met an alien. Like, probably. Kind of.
No, wait. I really like that.
I like how they kept bringing up the Prometheus quote. Like in the very beginning, like the opening scene, they wrote down the Prometheus quote. I forget what it was. And then like throughout the movie, he was like, "I am Prometheus, the destroyer of worlds," blah blah blah. And then during one of the sex scenes, the first sex scene, um, Florence Pugh was like, "Can you read the Sanskrit?" And he was like, sure. This part means," and she's like, "No, no, no. Read it. What did it
Did
say?
you
Like
enjoy that?
translate it." And he was like, "Well, this part is this, and it means destroyer of worlds." And then at the end, there was like, "I am Prometheus, destroyer of worlds," blah 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 blah. Because Prometheus, if you don't know who Prometheus is just a guy who uh, gave fire to humans, and the gods. He's from Greek mythology. The gods punished him by tying him to a giant rock, and then giant birds, would eat his intestines out. But because he was like immortal, he would just grow his organs back, and that was like his permanent, eternal punishment, that he was just constantly being eaten alive because he gave fire to humans.
Oh, I loved like the very very end of the movie, like the last line
With Albert
about
Einstein.
yeah, what about how like the entire movie it's just like you kind of know a little bit that there's a very 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 small chance that like the atmosphere like explodes and then like it just spreads across the entire world and everyone explodes because of this bomb,
Oh yeah.
but it doesn't actually happen. And then but then it's like they've made it that it's like a metaphor for the fact that still creating the bomb created a chain reaction where people are just trying to make like bigger and bigger bombs and we're still gonna like destroy ourselves anyway. I don't know, it was a very cool metaphor and it was like a very powerful way to end the movie.
I like when he was talking to Matt Damon. Is that Matt Damon, the officer?
I knew he looked familiar.
He was talking to Oppenheimer, and he was like, "So is this bomb gonna work?" And Oppenheimer's like, "Yeah, there's like, a small, it's close to zero, almost zero chance that, this bomb will blow up the atmosphere, killing the entire planet." And Matt Damon was like, "Close to zero?" And then Oppenheimer was like, "Yeah, what would you rather it be?" And then Matt Damon was like, "Well, I'd like it to be zero." And then like the old people around me fucking laughed their heads off from that joke. And I was like,
Dude, that was a funny joke.
it was a good one. I liked that it was like dry, blunt humor. Cause like they
No, the
never
humor was
like
fun.
they never like set up the joke. It was kind of just like thrown at you. Like you're like, "Oh, that was unexpected, but that was funny," and I
It
love
was
that.
like both Barbie and Oppenheimer had very the style of humor was unexpected. Like something just like unexpected would come next and it'd be funny.
Yeah, I
It was
wasn't
like opposite ends of the scale. It was opposite ends of the random humor scale.
I wasn't expecting any human Oppenheimer, so that's why it caught me off guard a little bit.
Oh, what was that joke from Barbie? I mentioned the other day. I wish I talked on the podcast. The Duolingo joke, where it just like randomly
Oh yeah,
cuts
yeah,
to the
yeah.
dad doing Duolingo. That like just like the random cuts in Barbie was just like you didn't know what was gonna happen. It was so funny, and we're like you didn't know what they were gonna say next. Like Barbie gets called a fascist, and she's just like, I don't control the railways. I can't be a fascist. And it's just it was like that was like a joke to one of these like old like dictator guys who just like he was known for like always having his trains be on time in his country, and it was just that was just the humor on point.
The humor was great. Who who was your favorite character in Barbie?
My favorite character in Barbie, uh, so many of the Barbie characters were really great. I'm going to say like normal Ken was just very very
Stereotypical
fun and
Ken?
funny. He was just yeah, he was just so funny and so like I didn't like when he was being sexist or whatever, but other than that, like he was just like a little himbo, and I love himbo characters. And really great. I liked Alan a lot, and I see a lot of people talking about how Alan really, really represents transgender people very well, like in multiple ways. Like I've seen like trans guys talking about how they relate to him because he's like not perceived as a girl anymore, but still understands the girl stuff, and he doesn't completely fit in with like the rest of the Kens. And I've seen like trans girls talking about how they relate to Alan with like being with the girls, but like still being kind of different and also not fitting with the Kens. I don't know. Alan's like a whole gender thing, and he was very fun. And stereotypical Barbie was great, and it's like when you watch her, it was like it felt like yes, that's how Barbie's supposed to act. So it's like Margot Robbie did a really good job like making her Barbie kind of blend in, I guess. It's like you're watching this, you barely even notice how good of a job she's doing acting because you're just like you feel like you're watching Barbie on the screen. Um and then on the opposite side of that, Ryan Gosling really stood out while acting because it was just so ridiculous. But yeah, stereotypical Ken was just so funny, so himbo. That's my favorite.
That was wonderful. My favorite character was probably Weird Barbie, but also Alan.
I
Like
loved Weird Barbie.
Alan was for the transgender, but Weird Barbie is for like the non-binary people. Cause I kept seeing like these AFAB like non-binary people be like, oh, she like used to be feminine, but she's like not anymore, and everyone like looks at her weird, but like she's still a Barbie, but she's like not, she like isn't fully feminine, but she's also not masculine, and she still is a Barbie, but she's like weird Barbie now, and I'm like, I totally get weird Barbie. I am a weird Barbie. I feel ya. And I also like Alan because he's not a boy. He's not a Ken or a Barbie. He's just Alan. My favorite character in Oppenheimer was probably Matt Damon. Like I kind of didn't like him for a bit, but then he's kind of funny. But I also like Oppenheimer. But excluding Oppenheimer, probably Matt Damon. Also, Robert Downey Jr.'s lawyer, who was like
Oh my
sassing him at the
god.
end, and Robert Downey Jr. was like, "Oh, but everything is
Oh,
about me." And then
he
Robert
was
Downey Jr.'s
fun.
lawyer was like, "Actually, everything's not about you." And then he opened the door
He
to the
was
press, and I was
fantastic.
like, "I fucking love you, man." Who was your
I
favorite
just
character in Oppenheimer?
my problem was I just didn't know who any of the characters were. I in I disagreed with his character a lot, but I also enjoyed whenever he was on screen, the buildy guy next door. I didn't like him being anti-union, but I liked like his presence on screen. Like I don't know, something about like the role he played just like was done very well. I enjoyed when he was on screen a lot, even though I like didn't like how he didn't like unions. I like the lawyer guy for Robert Downey Jr., like you said, like his little like sass at the end. I guess I'm gonna say my favorite was Oppenheimer just because he was the character with by far the most screen time. That was just like I feel like he was the only character we really got to know. Like the movie was about him. Like all everyone else was like a side character in his story, you know? Like he's the only character we got to like see the like workings of.
What would you rate Barbie out of
Um
5?
Okay, Barbie was the most fun I've had watching a movie in a very long time. And I think all of the details in the set were immaculate. The acting, pulling off acting in such a dramatic yet serious and comedic way all at once and making the characters actually believable when like the material, like pulling that off in a convincing way is very difficult. It was so well done. They picked all the right people for the roles. And it was just very good. A little bit. I get why they beat you over the head with the feminism in it because it's like the movie's supposed to be like you're a 12-year-old girl and you're trying to understand sexism as you're growing up. And so I get why they beat you over the head with it, but it was slightly annoying at times that they beat you over the head with the point so hard. But I guess some people still manage to miss the point even though they literally beat you with a stick with it. So maybe it was necessary. Um and it was really fun, but like occasionally like cringy and annoying that they beat you over the head with the point so much. So I'm gonna give Barbie like 4.7.
Wow. That was actually lower than I was going to score it, but since you're giving it that, I'll score it a little bit lower than that.
What were you gonna score? Wait, talk through it.
No, I'll give it a 4.3 because it brought me It brought tears to my eyes, but they didn't leave my eyes.
Like the movie did emotion very well while still being very comedic, and I was very impressed with it. But there were like it wasn't like the perfect movie. Oppenheimer was. I told my dad asked if I liked it better than Barbie, and I told my dad that it was slightly a better movie than Barbie, but I enjoyed Barbie more, like I explained.
Yeah.
Um, but like it was a beautifully crafted movie. It was very well made, very compelling storytelling with the source material that he had. He managed to make an incredible movie out of it. They had a lot of like really compelling acting. It made me feel a lot of emotions, like very thought-provoking. Very good movie. It got a little boring at times. It was very long. It was kind of confusing. But it was still like really well done, and I was very impressed with it. So I was gonna rank it a bit lower than Barbie, and you're probably gonna rank it a bit higher than Barbie. So I want to give it maybe like a 4.4.
I'm gonna give Oppenheimer probably a 4.7. I was tied between a 4.6
We
and
just flip flopped.
a.
We
Did we?
just flip flopped.
I was gonna give it a 4.6 or 4.8, so I just went in between to the 4.7. It was a absolutely fantastic movie. I prefer the cinematic style and everything about it than to Barbie, which is like super colorful and playful. I prefer more serious
Mhm.
movies.
You do. That's as soon as like the movie started playing, I was like, oh, you like movies in this style.
Yeah.
Um, and I loved how they like made such a compelling toy set design for Barbie that like felt really nostalgic and real. Like I was so impressed with the set design for Barbie, and it was so fun and like refreshing to look at a set like that. 'Cause like I'm so used to watching movies that are like serious looking with the set, and this like Barbie was so refreshing.
Yeah. Well, thank you everyone for watching this episode of Telly Talk. We post the podcast every Friday, sometimes, most of the time. And we post normal videos every other Tuesday. There should be a new video coming out this Tuesday. Very fun. We go golfing. We also have the podcast episode exclusively coming out on Spotify the day before it comes out on YouTube. So if you would like to listen to the podcast early, it does come out on YouTube or Spotify a day early. So go check that out. All the links will be in the description right below. Um, while you're down in the description, you might as well just go check out our Instagram and TikTok because you see some special other funny videos that we post, especially on our TikTok, that you won't see here on YouTube. But you could also check out our shorts because we do post some other funny videos on our shorts as well. Also, while you're down in the description, you can check out our Redbubble that we have a bunch of stickers. You can buy teleproduction stickers. You can buy teleproduction merch if you would like. Also, while you're still swimming around down there, hit the subscribe button. You know, it would be real nice if you would subscribe because that is great. Also, leave a like and comment. What did you see, Barbenheimer? Which one did you see first? Which one did you like better? Are you more colorful and playful, or are you serious bomb threat? Um, which one do you like? Are you a bomb terrorist or are you a Barbie?
I'm Ken.
And I'm Barbie.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.